Well, welcome back to Voices Rising. It's so good to see you again. And I'm here, of course, with my co-hosts, Lynda Rose and Marcia Grobetti. And I'm Rachelle Gil-McCready, and welcome again to Voices Rising. And today we are talking all about the next level you. Ooh, and I know that we have a lot of ideas on how to get to that next level. I would say it's probably one of our biggest questions that we get is, how do I get to that next level? How do I push myself? What are the steps I have to take? And we know that most women don't need more strategy to get to their next level. We know that, we see it all the time. We see it in leadership, women that we've coached, that we've mentored. They are smart, they are capable, they're driven, who know exactly what to do, but they're stuck in that hesitation. They're stuck in taking that next step towards their next level of success. We know that. So we need them to stop second guessing, stop holding themselves back in ways that nobody sees, because the next level, and this is what we're going to talk about today heavily, is your next level is blocked by identity. So what do you ladies think about that? Ooh, wow, it's a lot. I don't know if we're going to have enough time. We might need a part 2 on this one, and I think, too, it really is coming to what is that next level thinking? What is the next level you? And because for me, most people think about the next level, it means doing more, especially in a corporate environment. I do think, too, entrepreneur, Mercy, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It does mean for some people, I have to do more. I have to put in more hours. I have to put in more work, right?
That's right.
And earn my rest, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are there pushing more. But we know that the next level is built through your identity shift, elevated standards, and self-leadership.
Yeah.
So it's really not about what you're doing, but who you're becoming while you do a lot of these things. So what are some of your thoughts on that, ladies?
Yeah, I think a couple of ways I would look at it and things I learned about, because you can working, but are you doing the right work? I mean, as an entrepreneur, it might be a little bit different in the corporate workplace because you had very specific jobs. You knew what your job description was, you knew what you should be doing. So you can address that from the entrepreneurship level, where I was responsible for my own promotion. It's like what I did was going to allow me to move to a different level. So I had to ask myself, what am I not willing to do? A lot of times it wasn't, what am I doing and why is this not, but what am I not willing to do that is keeping me from getting there? Because a lot of times we know what we should be doing, but like you said, we're not willing to do it because we think it's more work. Well, it might not be necessarily more work or more hours. It might be a different kind of work. And so we can get held back by fear. And I think we're going to talk about fear of failure versus fear of success.
Yeah.
For me, it was more a fear of success, because if I went to the next level, I would be given more responsibility.
Yeah.
Was I capable? Was I able to handle that responsibility? More eyes would be on me, and I tended to be an introvert, so I didn't really want to be in the public eye a lot. So I had to learn how to overcome those things. And the last thing I would say about a technique that I used was I would always project myself forward when I think, well, I don't really need to move on, or it doesn't matter if I get to the next level. I would say, Marcia, when you were in your rocking chair, I used to say 80. Now that I'm closer to 80, it's like 100. But when you were in your rocking chair, when you're at the end of your life, what are you going to say to yourself when you say, I wish I had?
Right.
So I didn't want to have any regrets of things that I didn't try because I was fearful. If that's not going to sound good when you're 80, it's like, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And you've missed those opportunities.
Absolutely.
So those are just a couple of tools that I would use for myself to try and overcome and really discover what was going to be my next identity and what was that going to look like for me.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know that I've gone through phases where I felt I had to change myself or I had to change who I was. I just always was looking to evolve, always looking to grow and improve. So I think when I kept that at the forefront, it was very important.
Yeah.
I think the stories that you are telling yourself will determine your trajectory, and some of those stories are not correct. For me, a lot of it was, well, I don't have a university education. That's going to hold me back. Well, clearly it didn't, right? But it also was a story that I had to overcome. you don't get into a position that I had without having worked on yourself, developed yourself, educated yourself,
Mhm.
become street smart, become business smart, had amazing sales results in previous roles so that I was able to be in those levels.
Mhm.
So, really the brand identity for me is checking what is the story that you're telling yourself of why you can't get ahead, and then asking yourself, I mean, because I think it's important. Not everybody wants to be promoted. Not everybody
Yes,
wants the next step,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
That was just something I wanted.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of great staff that were great at what they did and
Mhm.
excelled at what they did, but they also evolved in the role. So your
Yes.
job description may have been here on day one, but 5 years later, that job description evolved because they
Mhm.
helped it to evolve.
Yeah. They adjusted
So,
to the business
yeah,
needs, yeah, in many ways,
exactly.
yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
think, it's not always about changing who you are. It's about evolving from where you are, becoming a better version of who you are.
Mhm.
And I think in this economy, in this world, we have to continue to improve our skills, showing that we're willing to learn and to grow. And
Yeah.
that's important.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Because I think it really is, you know, it's how you make decisions. Where are you willing to make that decisions? And we talk a lot about decision making on this podcast for sure. And making those decisions, but knowing where to put the pressure on and when to pull that pressure back as well, right? Because
Yes.
to your point, Linda, not everybody is looking for a promotion, right? Their personal growth or their professional growth can be done in certain ways of their career. It's not always completely shifting your identity, but for sure, they've had to sit with themselves for a long enough time to say, okay, I have to change, or, this role is literally going to stay the way that it is, and there's going to be no evolution from there. And I think a lot of people, it's not that they need to change their identity. It's knowing that you have to change with the seasons that come and the times
Yeah.
that are evolving within the business or within your life.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's a really
Yeah.
good point about the seasons of your life
Yeah.
because, the parents get older,
Yeah.
the children leave home.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, and you're about to experience that when your son leaves home.
Please,
Uh,
please. No.
but my children being all close in age, within 3 years, our house was empty. And you talk about an empty nest syndrome. I mean, that was a huge shock to me. So that was a bit of a reinvention of my identity because, um, it's who was going to fill that time? What
Right.
was going to fill that time? I wasn't a hands-on mother anymore because the birds had flown the nest. So, yeah, that I think you do have to stop and think. And
Mhm.
I was very fortunate that I had a career that filled a lot of that space for me. But I know I've
Mhm.
talked to women that, who are they now when their children have left? And that's when you have to really dig deep
Yeah.
and find out, how do I fill my time? Am I going to be a volunteer? Am I going to give back to the community? Am I going to
Mhm.
give back to the church? And
Yep.
it's how that's an evolution, I think, of ourselves too, is
Yeah.
an example of that. Or getting a divorce. All of
Yeah.
a sudden you're a single woman
Yeah.
and you've been married for 20 years or 5 years or 2 years.
Mhm.
You know, who are you then? Yes, your core of who you are stays the same, but how are you going to change to become the single person again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you find
Yeah.
that?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, there was tons of emotions around that because it was
Mhm.
the idea of, did I fail? Was I not good enough? Who am I in now? I can remember that when we divorced or we separated, I bought a house. I moved in July 1st. July 3rd, I became the general manager of Mary Kay Canada, where I worked. And my whole world had changed.
Mhm.
So that was dealing with a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I really want to talk about technology because
Mhm.
talking about branding or finding out who you are,
Yeah.
there's all this talk right now with Chat GPT and bringing AI and all of this stuff into business. And
Yeah.
people are giving up and going, well, that's it. My job's going to be eliminated now.
Yeah.
And I would say this is the opportunity where you have to redevelop who you are as a leader
Mhm.
and what you bring to the
Absolutely.
organization. Yeah, could I, when I was GM and I was writing a speech that would have taken me 5-6 hours sometimes,
Yeah.
I could get help from that technology to
Yeah.
help me make me more efficient. But it's still you still have to do the research, you still have to
Yeah.
put the right information in, and then that speech that you might be getting help on, or instead of taking you 6 hours is now only taking you an hour.
That's
What are you doing with those additional 5 hours to
Mhm.
add value to your organization?
Yes.
So I don't look at as a negative in the business world. I think it can become a real positive
Mhm.
if that employee looks at their role and says, how can I use this technology to be better at what I do and bring more value to the organization?
Yeah,
What about all the things you wanted to do because you didn't have time to do?
that's it.
How can you
Exactly.
bring it to a more streamline instead of
Mhm.
spending hours on the social media campaign? Um, Utilize that technology to help you become more efficient, but now make it more personalized to the brand, make it more personalized to your role. So I think this evolution is not just
Mhm.
about a promotional piece,
Yeah,
it's about a sustainment
Yes.
within the business and
Yeah.
the workplace.
absolutely. And
And
it's
it's
people are holding
interesting.
themselves back in that
Yeah.
sense too,
Yeah.
right? Thinking, oh, like I'm not going to do this because it's AI and whatever. And I have the same feelings as you,
It's a
Linda.
tool.
It's a
Yes, it's
tool.
just a
It
tool.
becomes a
It's
tool. It doesn't
yeah,
have to replace you.
yeah.
Yeah.
No matter whether we had that tool or not, you still
Mhm.
have to continue to show value to your organization.
Yeah.
So how
Yes.
are you doing that
Hmm.
and you have to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I see AI. Brene Brown quotes it perfectly. How she talks about AI. She talks about it where AI is just like using fire. It can be used for good or it could be used for bad,
Yes. Oh,
right?
that's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Brene
I,
Brown, she's the
yeah.
spiritual
Yeah.
gangster, you know. She is that lady.
Our oldest daughter, Jenna, who's just turned 50 this past year, she made such an interesting comment. Of course, she has to think this way. She's in a job that she absolutely loves, but not quite enough money to sort of replace what she gave up 4 or 5 years ago. So she was looking for another job. And then she stopped and thought, and she said, you know what? AI will never replace me in this current job. So I'm not moving.
Mm-hmm.
So she had thought that through
Yeah.
and
Yep.
thought, no, because there's some other company wanted her. And she thought, that's not going to last for the next 15 years or whatever she wants to work.
Yeah.
So she made a conscious decision to stay at the job, which she absolutely loves, for a little bit less money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
for sure.
smart.
Well, I think and it's actually it's a good segue into my first point because, she's making still safe decisions, right? But she's also making informed
Yes.
decisions, right?
Yes.
She's not letting it hold herself
Yeah.
back. And she's really thinking critically in that sense
Yeah.
of, okay, where can I use it to elevate what I'm
Yes.
currently doing? And I think that's really
Yeah.
just it. Because I have written down here, your next level will require decisions that feel uncomfortable or even out of place for you, right? But then eventually it will feel like, you know what? Yes, I've made the decision, but look what it is,
Yeah.
what it's done for me now, right? So
Yeah.
just like what you're
Yeah.
sharing. The second part of this is you're not holding yourself to the standard that you're capable of. And I think we've seen this with a lot of people where we see, what they could be doing, right? But they're allowing that inconsistency, the excuses and the delays,
Yeah.
right? We see it all the time, especially in the industry we come from.
Yeah.
So we see it a lot.
Well, if you're following us, which I think a lot of you are on Instagram, you'll see that we post a lot about surrounding yourself with other people that elevate you and lift you up.
Yeah.
And like you say, we were so blessed to be in an
Yes.
organization that lifted us up, but also having mentors who saw more in us than we could see in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to that point that
Yeah.
if you maybe can't see it yourself,
Yep.
but if someone else can see it, believe them. Don't discount it. Don't
Yep.
go, oh no, that's not me.
Yeah.
Take it
Agreed.
in.
I
Take it
think
in.
inconsistency is the greatest um, differentiator between successful people and non-successful people.
Yeah.
The successful person tends to be very consistent,
Mm-hmm.
very routine in their approach to things.
Yes.
They're not afraid of being repetitive.
Mhm.
Often people that I found who were not consistent, well, I want to try something new. I want to do something. Well, you haven't even mastered where you're at, right? We would see it with salespeople.
Yeah.
They weren't being consistent in their acquisition of customers. They weren't
Mhm.
being consistent in their follow up and their follow through.
Yeah.
And inconsistency is just can really hurt an organization or an individual. So I think it's a
Absolutely.
very important piece
Mhm.
that they need to master.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of people think I just need to be motivated. right?
Motivation is like a bath, right? It doesn't last.
Yeah, exactly.
last.
It's like you don't need more motivation.
Nope.
You just need to get out and do the things.
And self-discipline precedes motivation.
Absolutely.
You can't sit around and wait to get motivated. I will wait till I get motivated. So the self-discipline to do something is.
And I think the next one that pops up a lot is waiting till you feel ready.
God.
Yeah. Yeah,
I know what I used to say about
Never
that,
gonna
right?
come. Like,
So if you're a male, cover your ears. But I have a firm belief: if women wait till we're ready and feel good,
yeah,
I mean, you got to get your period once a month.
right.
The week before, you've eaten out of control because you're depressed and your moods are in. And then the week after the period, now you're annoyed because you've gained the 5 pounds. So you got 1 week a month you're going to work. You cannot wait till you feel ready.
No.
I mean, if we literally worked when our emotions were at its peak, I don't know about you, but that might be 4 days a month for me.
Yeah.
There's times
Oh,
I have to
absolutely.
push myself. There's times I have to do things when I don't want to. So you've got to get away from that. We have a responsibility to do what we need to do. We may not do it perfectly one day. We may have to give ourselves a bit of forgiveness, but you've got to get, we talked about it again prior, control those emotions.
That's it.
And self-discipline's huge. It's a huge key.
We had an interesting discussion last night over, I was talking to Marcia and I said, I really hate the word entrepreneur because I think the word entrepreneur connotates risk.
Yes.
And it connotates fear.
Yes,
So if you
I
say
agree.
I'm going to be an entrepreneur, it's like, oh my God, I have to put my house up, as
I gotta put my
collateral.
mortgage
I have
up,
to lose my house.
Mhm.
And we kind of went through and we used an AI format to say, are you a self-starter?
Yeah.
Be more of a self-starter. And a self-starter is very equivalent to that of an entrepreneur.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
being a successful entrepreneur relies on you.
Yeah.
Being a self-starter relies on you as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. And I think, when it comes to that readiness, you're going to build the confidence that you need to take the next steps, the one foot after the other. You're going to really just create that confidence and you're going to build that decision-making muscle is what we call it. And then the next one I have here is you're playing in rooms that no longer stretch or serve you. And we've seen this with either career salespeople or even career corporate people who've worked in the same role for how many billions of years, and there's no change, right? There is no change. There is no stretch. There's nothing. So if you're looking for a promotion, if you're looking to, do these big things or transition or, these massive actions in your life, you are going to have to stretch yourself. It's inevitable. You're going to have to do the hard shit. You're going to have to do it.
In my day, it was admirable to be at a company for 20 years.
Yeah.
People thought that was amazing. If you, oh, look at you, you were at that company for 20 some years. Now, from what I'm hearing and talking to a lot of young people that, you mentor and talk to, that is considered a detriment if you stay longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
So you have to really question, does it make sense staying at that organization that long? And is it stretching you the way you need to? And are you learning the things that you need to? Are you still operating from the same perspective?
Yeah.
Because when you do go into those new organizations, all of a sudden, when you're bringing that different perspective in the right way, you become a real asset to that organization. So you have to really, the market has changed.
Yes.
It's not as cool to be at a company 20 plus years.
Yeah. Because in our generation, my generation, you got the great pension if you had that job and you stayed there for 40 years. Think of the pension. Well, so many of them now, there's not.
Oh, there's barely any companies who offer a pension.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's
It's rare.
rare has changed.
Yeah. Yep. So, I share with women all the time, young women coming to the workforce, like really think about how you're stretching yourself. Are you, and Lauren, actually, my good friend Lauren, she talks about it a lot, right? Are you putting yourselves in situations to have certain conversations where you become visible, where you become that go-to person, right? So instead of waiting for the opportunity, you're taking advantage of the opportunity. So I think a lot of people, we come to the office and we have the blinders or the blockers on it. It's like, well, no, if you spoke to somebody in supply chain, you would then get that knowledge. If you spoke to somebody in events, you would get that knowledge, right? So there is something to be said for collaboration and to understand somebody else's world every single day, because a lot of people thought working in sales, oh, we just talked on the phone all day.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do any
Which
of
I
that.
can remember saying to, You know, when you don't remain curious in the workplace,
Yep.
you will not move. And I used to say to
Absolutely.
people, you know, many times, I mean, the sales group would come in and say, nobody understands what we do. Well, tell them what you do, show them what you do,
Yeah.
let them understand what you do. But when you lack that curiosity and you're not willing to leave your office and understand how your job impacts your coworker's job,
Yep.
it is very detrimental to your success and to the organization's success.
And like if we're talking strategies here, I really talk about, making that next level decision daily, right? So if you're somebody, who's listening to this, looking for a promotion, looking to make some moves, if you will, or maybe just looking to invest in yourself in different ways, really think about, what would the future version of myself do? And I don't think you ladies have heard me actually talk about this, but I talk about thanking your future self. So I
cool.
thank my future self
Oh,
when I do things in advance that I know are going to pay off for me. So, for example, let's say you could take meal prep. Okay, we're going to choose some. I know we're talking about business, but
That's
let's
okay.
do something just simple
Yeah.
like meal prep. If you meal prep, if you're looking at your week and you know it's busy, and let's say, yeah, like you have a call at 7 o'clock at night, but you've already worked, a full day. Well, you don't have time to make dinner. So if you've already prepped it, oh, well, I'm going to thank, that future Rochelle for thinking, or my
That's cute.
past Rochelle for thinking of
Yeah.
future Rochelle in this moment, right? So that's kind of
That's
how
cool.
I put it. But this is the same thing too in business. If you know that you have to prepare in 2 weeks to give a talk or a keynote or whatever, why wouldn't, if you have time the month before, book it in, do it the month before, because your future self
Self.
is gonna thank
Yeah.
your present self. So that's what I call it. So really think about how you're gonna thank yourself in the future for just doing those things in advance, because that is what's gonna get you to that next level. Because that, again, to your point, it leaves room, to make different decisions and cast your vision and build a leadership, right? And actually,
Preparation on
Yeah.
purpose,
that's
right?
it.
Oh, yes.
Preparation on purpose. I love that. So again, it goes into raising the standards of execution, right? How are you raising the standards of what you do every single day? So not what you intend to do, but the follow-up piece. We know that 90% of the sales that you do are going to fall through because you just
Yeah.
don't do that follow-up.
Yeah.
And does the follow-up have to be complicated? No. It can just
No.
be a simple message. Hey, how you doing? How's your
Yeah.
product working
Yeah.
for you? How's this working for you?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing in corporate. Like, hey, I sent you that report. Is that what you're looking for? Right? What else
Yeah.
can I do for you? Do you want to get on a call, book a meeting, right? And talk about it. That's what the next level person is going to do. If you're looking for that promotion, you're looking for that raise, whatever that might be, that's where it's going to come from.
Because how often have you been in the office? Well, I did that and nobody looked at it.
Right?
Nobody appreciated what I did. Did you do any follow-up?
That's right. Take
did you
ownership.
help
Yeah.
to move the dialogue along, to have a conversation,
Absolutely.
to show the
Mm-hmm.
C-suite what you were able to do and what you learned from that?
Yep.
It's all fine to prepare something, but
For sure.
not to do the analysis and the
Mm-hmm.
the context in it and how the organization can use it as a mistake.
That's right. Absolutely. And the next strategy I have here is move faster. Move faster. Now, that might be a bit controversial, but I personally think, and just coaching women and mentoring women, we've seen it all the time. Women just choose to overthink, they choose to overanalyze, and they wait for certainty. They wait for things to be certain, and it's never going to be any of those three things. You have to move fast when you need to. Sometimes it's good to move slow. Like I said, it's a little bit of a controversial thing, but what we've noticed about anybody who's high performing or somebody who is working at a whole different level, they are moving fast.
And they make decisions
That's
faster.
it. They're making decisions fast. They are not waiting for somebody else to show up. They're doing it themselves. They're making that whole decision. So for me, it's really about that speed can build your confidence, but it also builds the confidence of what people think around you as well, because you're moving at a certain speed as well. So the action is really going to get clear for a lot of people. And then finding ways to put yourself in rooms that elevate you. So I say to women all the time, when was your last networking event that you've been to?
Yeah.
Because you may not get the opportunity in your organization, but you certainly can seek elsewhere to get those opportunities, right? I do a networking event at least once a quarter.
Yeah.
That's what I do personally.
Yeah.
If I can do it twice a quarter, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But it just gives you a sense of, when you have the blinders on when you're going into your office or in your organization, but when you get up and you look around the room at networking events, you can really see, okay, this company's doing this or she's doing that or they're doing this, and you can take it back with you, or you can say, well, thank God that I'm in the position that I'm in, right? So you can be grateful
Yeah.
for the opportunity you have as well. I
And-
certainly felt
yeah.
that too with some people.
You've really inspired me to do more of that too, because, having retired for 6, 7 years, I'd gotten away from so much of that stuff. And then listening to you, I'm going, yeah, when was the last time I was at a networking thing?
And we had the
So,
discussion. There's good
Yeah.
networking events and there's not good networking.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
absolutely.
I
You
went
figure it out pretty
yeah,
quickly.
I went to one about a month or two ago, and it's led to me being on a board,
Yeah.
as a result of
Mhm.
it. So,
Yeah.
but there are, make sure the networking event actually
Yep. Speaks to you
delivers.
for sure.
Yes.
Yep. With the
Yeah.
qualifications you're
Yeah.
looking
You don't need
for.
to. I mean, none of us just need to go spend 2 hours. But
No,
if
you can
there's
have
a
lunch and talk.
if
That's
there's an
it.
environment that
Yeah.
allows for that
Yeah.
networking, for you to really share your story
Yeah.
and you to hear other people's
Mhm.
stories, that's the important piece.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Yeah. If you're looking for recommendations, we can give them to you for sure.
Yeah.
Because we've done our fair share, I think, absolutely in our lifetime. And I've always have said, if you're always the most experienced person in the room, you need to find a new room, because that means you need to grow. Because
Oh,
good-
we
that's
know
a
it.
good one.
Yes.
We know that you are the result of the 5 people that you hang around with,
Mhm.
right? So think about your organization. If you're the one who has been to networking events, you're the one who's kind of investing and nurturing these new relationships, you're going to figure it out pretty fast that there's a lot of people out there that are really smart and really want to share and really want to nurture those relationships
Yeah,
too.
you
So
only grow when you get out of your comfort zone.
that's it.
You
Absolutely.
got to learn to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And another one that we talk a lot about is building self-trust through action, right? So
Mhm.
doing the things you're going to do when you say you're going to do them. So it goes into your reputation. So sticking to the plan, and sometimes the plan sucks, but if you stick with it, you'd be very surprised, right? I kind of related to, if you're looking to lose weight, right? You're restricting calories probably the first 2 weeks, nothing's happening, but by the third or the fourth, yeah, things are
Yeah.
going to start happening. So just stick out the plan and really keep those commitments to yourself.
I don't like
Next
that
part.
topic.
You're like, oh, nobody wants to restrict that, right? We don't want to restrict calories. So when it comes to just talking about the identity shift, and this is something that I say to anybody, you can choose it at any single moment in
Mhm.
time. You don't need to have this catalyst or whatever's happening in your career. You can do it at any time and then back it up with the action that you have to take, right?
Mhm.
Again, no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it, because your boss isn't going to see how hard you work all the time. Your family probably can't see it all the
No.
time, but and you know what you're deserving of.
And the shift
And
doesn't have to be major. It can be subtle.
Yeah.
that's it.
They don't always have to be this major change that everybody
No.
goes, wow, what's she doing?
Yeah,
It can be a subtle change that over time people see.
absolutely. Yep. Like you don't need, more time either. You don't need a confirmation. You can
Yeah,
do
right.
it. Absolutely. And the next level is built in the decisions you make when no one is watching, clapping, or cheering you on. Yes, we know that,
Mhm.
right? We know that most people they're working silently, they're isolated, but still make those decisions even though you won't have your cheerleading squad, right? Yeah, backing you up.
I always say, the measure of a true person when
Mhm.
they have lost luggage or tangled Christmas lights,
Oh, absolutely. That's the litmus test.
right? How do they cope when no one's looking?
Yep.
Or, I often
Yep.
think about that is it's what you do when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Do you put your
Yeah.
shopping cart away? Or do
That's
you leave
it.
it in the,
Yeah.
there's those
Yeah.
little things that really help to determine
Mhm.
the change in you and
Yes.
how you move.
Yep.
And who are you when nothing in your life is going the way you expect it to be? Who are
Yeah.
you? Which part of you shows up? The
Yeah.
negative one
Mm-hmm.
or the bright, positive, optimistic person? It really tells you like who you really are. A great example of that is, and I may have mentioned it on one of our early podcasts, is when my boss, so to speak, a mentor was in town,
Mm-hmm.
and I was fairly new in the business, and she would stay at our home because she wanted to see what was going on. You really get to know a person, if you stay in their home. But
Yep.
Anyway, she would stay in our home and we would go and do an event. And 3 little kids under the age of 3, I could get pretty cranky. Under the age of 5, under the age of 7, I get pretty cranky. And I loved my new job, my business. I just loved it. So I could go to those events and be this upbeat, positive person. I was just amazing. I loved it. And then I'd come home and yell at my husband or say something to my show. And she looked me dead in the eye. She was not afraid to tell me exactly what she thought. And she said, you need to decide who you are going to be in this life. And you're going to be that person over there that I saw this afternoon, or you're going to be this witch at home. Because you can't be both.
Wow.
Because that will split you. You are going to be one or the other. And I've never forgotten that. And that shaped me up as a mom and as a wife. It was a huge. So who are you when no one is watching? Those people at work thought I was amazing. Yeah, well, she saw that I was not that amazing, actually.
You don't want to live a double life, right?
No.
Because you're not authentic.
No.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
I had to decide.
Yeah.
And that then led into, which I think one of our podcast is coming up, is, what is the legacy you leave when life is over? So,
But I think that's really true because it talks about the authenticity about who are you hanging with, right? So if you're acting one way and behaving differently, you're not being authentic at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that old saying is that, everybody wants to travel with you when you're in the limo, but who's going to travel with you when you're in the yellow school bus?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So that authenticity is and that will eventually catch up to you,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah.
When you're trying to do those, because
Oh, yeah.
something's
Yeah.
going to falter.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think people can see through that too.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
too-
people,
It's too hard
they
trying
catch a
to have
vibe.
two different lives. You might as well just be
Right?
good in both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer too. I used to do this, when I was married, but I often do it with my son. It's like, I have 4 hours. I'm in a bad mood. I've had a rough day. Give me 4 hours. And I
Yeah.
used to try and put a time frame around my emotion.
Yep.
And then everybody kind of knew. And I'm not afraid now to say, I just need to go have some quiet time. I need to be alone. And he
it.
does the same thing, and Darius does the same thing. And I think that's so important because you try to work through that anger or that emotion, you inevitably end up in a fight with someone.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Or that fight turns into something completely different because you're in the rage mode. So then that is now just uncovering everything else, right? Like
Yes.
little by little.
Because
So
we're
other
afraid
stuff
to
bubbles up.
acknowledge that we're having a weak moment. We have to
Yes.
self-regulate,
Yeah,
and you have
Yeah.
to manage that.
absolutely. And that's what your next level you really needs to
Yeah.
be. Absolutely.
Cool.
I think that was a great note to end on, ladies. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking that that you're capable of more, and you're not fully stepping into that, you don't really know where to start. And this is exactly the work that we do here at Voices Rising. So we really help women close the gap between where they are and the level that they know that they're meant for. Because your next level, we know, is not far away. We are always closer to the goal than what we think we are. And so if you're ready to step into your next level and start the conversation of what mentorship looks like here with Voices Rising, you can reach out to us directly at contactvoicesrising@gmail.com. We'll put that up on the screen on the card, or you can contact us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and we will include all of that information in the show notes. So until then, we love you guys so much and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.